What's up, guys? It's your man, Donovan Sharpe, and welcome to this special Sunday edition. I don't know if this is TSR Live or TSR Central. I don't know. Either way, I've been, you guys have been asking for him. The man, the myth, the legend, that is Kevin Savo, a.k.a. Savo. What's going on, man?
Sorry to break it to y'all. The white boy is here. How are you? My deepest apologies.
Oh, Jesus Christ! Yeah, why are you and I talking about black issues? But whatever.
I'm not a DJ Vlad, y'all. I promise. I seen the DJ Vlad shit.
Yeah, we don't have to worry about that. So listen, man. Let's get right out of the gate, man. So take my audience inside of what makes Kevin Savo click. How did you get from point A to point B? Why did you decide to do Thought Mommies and then The Adventures of Savo? What was the inspiration for all that?
Well, I'll start with Savo. For the longest time, I was working on an independent film with Positive K. If any old school hip hop cats are in the chat, if you remember I Got a Man and Step Up Front and Started Up Y'all with MC Light. So right. I did a movie last year, or for the past 3 years. We started in 2018. We just finished it this year. That's how long it takes to make an independent film, a real feature with your own money. So I do this movie where, you know, I play a version of myself that's kind of quirky, and I'm a white boy rapper, and Positive K is like a father figure to me. And it stars my two brothers and everybody I know. So it was this big happening. It took years. And when you're making a film on your own dime, you get so caught up in your head and so down on yourself. Yeah. And you need something for inspiration. People always told me, yo, you're doing the Sylvester Stallone thing. And I'm like, not quite. I said Sly had to work to get that script made and get to play Rocky. But once everything was set in stone, he got to walk into a situation with Carl Weathers, Burt Young, Talia Shire. So exactly. So my inspiration for getting through the hard times of making a legit movie all on my own dime was watching Dolomite movies. Because to me, that was more of an inspiration. Rudy Ray Moore was really the guy that was like, fuck the industry. The industry doesn't want me. They'll never have me because I'm too dirty. And I want to do things my own way. So we'll just do it all ourselves. And because of that, the movies were a little messy, but they got to just do whatever they wanted to do. Right. And so I watched so much Dolomite for inspiration to get through making my first movie. After I had finished the whole feature, I still wanted to do creative shit, but I was like, I don't know about doing a whole other movie. What's something I could do that could be purposely cheap, but still play well and have good performances? I said, you know what? Let's do like a funky 70s throwback Dolomite, Black Dynamite-esque thing. And for the longest time, because they always made fun of me in school because my last name is Savo, and people would naturally call me Savaho or Captain Savaho. For the longest time, I thought of what if instead of Captain Savaho, meaning you have a complex of thinking you can save low-value women and turn them into wife material, what if it was in the literal sense? What if Captain Savaho was literally a crime-fighting vigilante who only prioritized saving hoes? How ridiculous would that be? And then I love satire. Like this movie I did with Positive K was it was funny, but it was dramatic and it was real. And there was a lot of like working up tears before scenes and building real connections with people. This one was like, satire is great when you take a ridiculous concept, but then you play it straight. So Captain Savaho is a ridiculous concept, but like you can always see the tension in my eyes. I'm taking this serious. I believe in this. I believe in saving hoes. Everyone else can see that I'm sort of a ridiculous character.
I love it.
Love it. You know, I always thought that'd be funny. Kind of a masculine, serious simp on a mission.
Hey, man, we see those all around. Now, one thing that is very interesting about, and we'll talk about Thought Mommies a little bit later on, but one thing that Thought Mommies and The Adventures of Savaho, what they have in common is that they have very clear red pill undertones, which clearly states to me that you are red pill aware. So what was your moment of clarity? When did you find the red pill, so to speak? Was it an event? Was it a compilation of events? What led you to this community?
Quite simply, I'm teachable. I'm 25 and I'm not your typical mid-20s cat that thinks he knows everything. I'm not trying to say I'm extra special or anything, or I'm too wise beyond my years or anything. Sure. Not pat myself on the back, but I think I'm a little bit more teachable than most young people in the respect that we talked about this a little bit. We watch our parents make mistakes, and then we make the same mistakes our parents made.
Yeah.
We make the same mistakes that our aunts and uncles made. And most of these mistakes come from a blue pill mindset. And oftentimes your relatives will tell you, you know what, you're not mature yet. You'll understand when you're older. You'll change when you're older. And the funny thing is, what they usually mean is you'll be blue pill by the time you're my age.
There you go.
But that's where all the disaster comes from. So I'm just teachable. I had 2 failed relationships in my early adulthood. I had 2 failed relationships that failed for the same reasons. And it was me following in the footsteps of my parents and their broken relationship and all the broken relationships of my family, all stemming from a blue pill mindset. And it only took 2 relationships to be like, okay, I just made the same mistake twice. And it's also the same mistake everyone in my family has made. I need to learn what I'm doing wrong. Now, maybe the women I picked ain't shit either, but
Sure.
At the same time, I need to figure out what I don't understand about male and female dynamics. And I just think too many people are too prideful. Pride always comes before the fall.
Right.
Too many people are too prideful to want to admit to themselves that they don't understand their own nature and female nature, because they should, pride is knowing all, it's being an intellect. So people don't want to admit that to themselves. I was all willing to admit it to myself. I was like, I know there's something I don't get, and I just want to learn. And then you come across a Rollo Tomasi, a AMS, a Donovan Sharpe, and things just start to click, and you sit back and you suck it up like a student. I just want to make this point real quick.
Sure.
For all the guys that go on these smear campaigns about you and Kevin Samuels and Rollo Tomasi and AMS and say you're false prophets, you're false gurus, here is a way you can tell if someone is a false prophet or a false guru or not, or if they give bullshit information.
Right.
Listen to what they say in full. Intent matters.
Yes.
You could take any 20 seconds out of context, but if you listen to a full speech by somebody, the intent of what they had to say matters. Intent matters. So listen close, and more than likely, they're going to walk you through mistakes you've made and had the same poor results. That's how you know it's legit. When I listen to AMS talk about mistakes he's made, more than we're not all that unique as men. We tend to make all the same mistakes in our early adulthood.
That's
so
right.
when you listen to AMS, within the first 10 minutes of many of his videos, you'll be sitting there going, oh my God, I've done that. I've done this. I made that same mistake. That's why we get drawn in, because we know it's real, because it's relatable. You guys don't make up like woo-ha dumb shit and throw it at guys who are gullible.
And this is the thing. It's interesting that you say that, because I was in a debate with an older woman on another channel, and this is
the one you were telling me about when you were in town.
Yeah.
Oh God.
And so she, obviously and you guys can go check out that video. I cooked her. It is what it is, but that's what I had to tell her. We as men, we didn't all wake up one day and decide to just lie on women. We didn't wake up one day and say, hey, let's all shit on women. Let's all make pretend that what you're seeing on your screen is just contrived. Let's tell these stories. Let's talk about thought mommies as though they don't exist, and maybe we can get a leg up. No, the reason why men like us come together is because we have similar experiences. You got cheated on I got cheated on my girlfriend by a guy at work. Oh, you know what? A buddy of mine down in Nebraska, or whatever the case may be, he went through the same thing. One thing leads to another. You find this community and you think to yourself, I'm not alone. I'm not crazy. So let me ask you this. You said you made the same mistake in both of your relationships. What exactly was the mistake that you made?
Well, for one, I wasn't very masculine at that time. I was probably a lot more of a lover boy. I was probably, now granted, I'm still a little bit of a lover boy now, but
I'm at it.
Frame is not quite the same thing as, look, it's all the same shit. I think I catered to the girls a little bit too much. One in particular, I really bent over backwards for. Just like did more than was expected, more than what she asked for. And it was just such a clear message to her that this guy must think so lowly of himself. He feels he has to do or spend or do over the top things for me to gain my love and approval. Like he is constantly on a mission to seek my love and approval. When it was an expensive restaurant, when it was the most expensive hotel in New York City, when it was the most expensive bouquet of flowers, when it was taking a really long trip to come see her, guys think when they're beta and when they're blue pill, they think she's really going to appreciate that. But
Right.
she clearly knew. And this was a girl she was like a man's woman.
Oh,
She wanted a she wanted a masculine cat. When you do all those things for her, it clearly says to her, he is desperately trying to prove himself to me.
Right.
Why is he trying to prove himself to me instead of realizing that he's already good enough? I've already chosen him. He just needs to hold his frame and maintain his position and play his position. Be my man, not be my servant. Right. So it was that kind of thing. And also, I'm not going to front, man. It sounds real feminine to say, but we got mommy issues out here. We got our mothers fuck us up. And then a lot of times before you learn, first, a lot of times our fathers are beta and our mothers fuck us up.
That's right.
And then we end up desperately seeking the affection we think we didn't get from our mother from a woman. And I'll tell you one thing about that. I've noticed a lot of my friends that don't have moms, whether their mom passed away or left them or wasn't fit to raise them, they desperately clung to women who are toxic. And the reason they'll tolerate the woman's toxicity is because they mistake it for love. Because check this, when your mom's being toxic, you chalk it up to, oh, well, she's just my mom. Of course, she's going to yell and scream and bitch sometimes.
That way.
Right. But she's doing it with good intent because it's mom. When mom bitches and screams and yells, it's with good intent. She's your mom. The male that has lost his mother will psychologically confuse a girlfriend's toxicity for the same form of love. It's mommy love.
Wow. I'll tell you what, man. I'm actually learning something here. You do seem very wise for a 25-year-old, even talking to you now. Let's rewind a little bit. And you talked about the fact that you can tell the difference between someone who is being honest with you or someone who knows what they're talking about and those that don't. And that is intent. So you mentioned AMS, Kevin Samuels, myself, Rollo Tomasi. How can guys like you, I guess you used to be a layperson, now you're up on the vernacular, clearly you're more aware than you used to be. How do you as an outsider, at least at one point, decipher which guys are giving you good information and which guys are just parroting off of others? Because it's very hard to tell the difference these days.
Well, you got to have a decent understanding of psychology. It helps to really understand the development of the mind and how it stems from our relationship with our parents and how it stems from our upbringing. And then that in turn relates to how you deal with women. So I think you have to have an understanding of all that. And then if you just listen to, like, close your eyes, listen to a Kevin Samuels, listen to an AMS, don't target them. Don't look for reasons to hate them. You have to hear what these men have to say. And if you really listen, you're going to find gems that relate to mistakes you have made in your life. So that's confirmation to me. How can you not walk a young man through, kid, I've made the same mistakes. We all tend to. We're not all that unique and all that entirely different. We tend to make the same mistakes when we all believe the same narrative and we think the same things as young men. So go ahead, try X, Y, and Z and see if it works out for you. 9 times out of 10, it's not. So you think you might be listening to the right person here? See, that's the thing for me. Sometimes I give advice online and I say, if you think I'm wrong, try doing it your own way. You'll be back. You'll be back to this channel and you'll rewatch this video. Now you'll listen. And sometimes that's what it takes. It takes a guy to be like, fuck AMS. He hates women. I'm going to do things my way. And then how did that work out for you? I'm sure it worked out great, right?
No, listen, I completely understand. One thing that I've tried to tell my guys over the years, because I don't want me to be the only influence, right? You have to have multiple perspectives from multiple people. I think that's probably the best way to approach things, because things that work for me might not necessarily work for Kevin Savo. We're two different people. We come from two different walks of life and we respond differently to different stimuli. Be that as it may, we are both still men. And even though we are different, we do have some of the same experiences. My litmus test in terms of someone who is, I guess, keeping it real and someone who's just blowing smoke is they talk about their losses, right? I remember in the first, at the very first, right in the beginning of the PUA days and YouTube, all of these pickup artists used to only talk about their wins. I can go out and I can fuck this broad and that broad and that broad. That was all well and good, but very few people talk about their L's. And I think that if men can see, you know what, that guy has been where I've been. That guy has failed with women just like me. And now look at his life. right? So if they know and understand that I've been where they've been and that I am where I am now, that's going to give me a little bit more credibility, because you can't be this, well, I'm undefeated, blah, 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 blah. You should just know. There's a content creator who I just cut ties with, who was over my left shoulder, who only talked about his W's. He talked about being a man and you should know and this and that. And it's interesting. No shade on him, but it became very obvious to me that he wasn't really who he said he was, because we never heard about his failures. It was only about his W's, and his W's were always like blowouts. And I'm thinking to myself, this guy has to have failed with women at some point in time. And when it came down to it, it was all really just kind of fluff and other people's talking points. Come to find out, he's really a house husband. So in my mind, if a man can talk about his L's, if a man can be transparent about his failures with women, that potentially could be a man that you can follow and maybe even give credibility to. What are your thoughts?
I agree with that 100%. I would have to say that a great thing to point towards is who else shares this common theme?
Right.
Successful businessmen, entrepreneurs. If any of them are to give a lecture, they're not getting on stage and just only talking about their successes. Nobody does that because they understand that a focus group or an event is not going to get anything out of that.
Right.
So they understand that. They understand if you listen to a Dan Pena, a Jordan Peterson, a Arnold Schwarzenegger, any successful businessman, anyone that gives like a TED talk about success, they're talking about their failures. So success leaves clues and failures leaves clues. But, it's like anything else in life. You've got to fail at it to know how to do it right. So thankfully, my first attempt at a feature film was when I was 19, and it failed miserably. And it sucked, but I wouldn't have been able to do the movie with Positive K if I didn't fail at my first movie. I wouldn't have been able to do The Adventures of Savaho. So, and then also, like, what teaches, how do you learn to fight getting knocked out a few times, right? How do you learn to fuck really disappointing the fuck out of several chicks? You know what I mean? Like, unfortunately, it's part of, you're not going to be great at everything off the bat. You're not going to be great with women, with business, with anything until you fail at something. Because then I wrote about this in my book. I actually wrote a point about performance anxiety. It blows to have performance anxiety. It blows when you're a young man and girls put a lot of pressure on you to be some phenomenal porn star-esque lover. But when you fail at that, you become so determined to get better at fucking, so that for your own self-esteem, and so you could do away with your performance anxiety, that it makes you a better lover. So those first few times a chick clowns you and tells her friends like he doesn't know what he's doing, he barely knew where to stick it, all this, that humiliation makes you determined to improve. And now you've already had a demonstration for yourself of what you did wrong, whether it's in a fight, whether it's with sex, whether it's with business. Whenever you fuck up, that was your first demonstration of what went wrong. So, well, let's start heading the opposite direction, obviously, because what we did here didn't work.
I always say this, man, as far as women and game is concerned, being able to handle women on any level, whether it's casual sex, whether it's in a relationship, one night stand, whatever the case may be, it really has more to do with what not to do than what to do, right? Most men are unaware of what not to do. That's why channels like mine exist. Yes, there are things that you have to do on purpose to build, create, and maintain attraction. But in my mind, it's really more about what not to do. What do you think about that? Do you think it's about more what not to do, or is it a proactive approach?
No, I agree with that. Like, I give you an example. Listen, I live with my brother and 4 roommates, and our rap collective is the Fellas. That's my 2 brothers and our boys. We were at a show the other night, and everyone asked me for advice because I'm the short guy success with women. Everyone in my group is taller than me, but I get the most girls.
Right.
So obviously I had to learn different. I had to develop a personality. I wasn't going to be able to rely on handsome man's game, tall man's game. No one was approaching me based on looks or height or any of that. So you develop a personality, and then you become desirable that way. So the kids would often ask me for advice, and my brother, the youngest one, brought his boys. They're like, Kev, this girl. I'm like, listen, this girl's having fun. She's enjoying herself. You don't have to say anything out of this world. It's more about what you're not going to say. I said, this girl's vibing. She's having fun. She wants to meet people. She wants to talk to people. Go join the function. Go blend into the function with her. It's about Oh shit, my bad.
No, that's okay. That's okay.
Was that me?
What's going on? So, but we left off on enjoy the
Damn.
function, blend into the function. What were you going to say after that?
Well, no, I was saying just the last time, a young kid asked me, he's like, what should I say to the girl? I'm like, it's not about what you say. It's about what not to say. Like, don't say too much. It's about, especially in a real fun social environment, just don't put your foot in your mouth. It's
that's what it really comes down to, right?
Yeah, I wish, I think a lot of us learn this information and we look back and we wish when we were younger, we weren't so hard on ourselves, because I think when we were younger, we thought we had to have like this impressive monologue to impress every woman.
Right.
This unbelievably witty, impressive monologue. You had to be like a rock star in fucking 7th grade. Right. I mean, if we had not overthought it, we those of us that didn't get laid in middle school, high school, we would have been cleaning up if not for one simple thing, if we didn't overthink it.
And I'll tell you this, man, I think there's an advantage because I wasn't a slut slayer in my high school days. I had a high school sweetheart. I actually used to date a girl who is now regularly on TV. That is 100% facts. I cheated on her with my would-be high school sweetheart, and we became boyfriend and girlfriend.
Did you catch a lawsuit if you said her name?
Yes. Oh, yes.
Okay.
Yes. I absolutely cannot. No.
You gotta tell me privately sometime.
Yeah. Oh, dude, I'll tell you. Yeah, she is a television personality, to be sure. But the point is that I didn't get laid all through high school, right? What we're finding now is that guys that girls really like in high school. Yeah, listen, it's all fun and games in high school, but those are the guys now with 3 and 4 kids by 3 and 4 different women. When you're a young guy like that and you are a walking hard on and girls throw themselves at you, you're not going to be the most responsible when it comes to protection. This is how kids get born. This is how teen moms are created. So while it may have absolutely sucked to not get laid in your teens, at least now we can say, hey, you know what? We might not have been good with women then, but we certainly are now, and we don't have the baggage to prove it.
Oh yeah, no. To be completely honest, if I could go back in time and be a kid again, I mean, you'd have to pay me. People say that all the time. They say, if I could do it over again, I would never want to go backwards. Chuck D's good on that. Chuck D says, why are we saying 40 is the new 20? Because you wouldn't say that 20 is the new 10.
No,
you don't want to go. Chuck D made that point. Interestingly, you don't want to go backwards in life. Everybody thinks they want to go backwards.
Only women say that, though, Kevin. When they say 40 is the new 20, 30 is the new 20, men aren't saying that. That's women who are saying that because they clearly understand that youth and beauty are fleeting.
Yeah, but only in respect to youth and beauty. But a youthful mind is a mind that hasn't really kind of awakened yet.
Okay.
So, you never want to go backwards in mentality. And I wouldn't go back and be a kid again if you paid me. It was just, it's so good. I was thinking just the other day, it's so good to be comfortable with who you are, like knowing what you're about, knowing what your abilities are, knowing who you are as a man. It's unshakable because nobody could shake you. You don't have that as a kid. You have too much anxiety about what others think of you. And it doesn't take too long for most, if they can get out of their head, to realize that 90% of these people you're worried about who's going to think I'm cool or who's going to think I'm not shit are losers themselves.
Right.
So it's not a successful businessman that's going to fucking come in the comment section and be like, you ain't shit. He didn't have time. He's signing $1 million deals.
Dude, real
successful people are not in the comment section talking shit. They're not.
Oh my God. Listen, I say this all the time. And Richard Cooper actually put this. He's the first guy that I actually heard say this. Hate always comes from beneath. Okay. You will never be criticized by someone doing more than you. Right. This is why guys like you and me, I have never felt the need to go into someone's comment section and troll them because I'm just too busy doing shit. That, to me, that's just the way it is. Let me read a couple of the comments here and then I'll ask you a question about feminism.
I hope they're positive.
Oh yeah, of course. So the school bus says excited, said one of my most valuable life assets is that exactly. If I don't know everything, I can learn from everything. Good stuff, Kevin. Appreciate that. Let's see. Kuma the Wise says, good morning, guys. Let's get some knowledge dropping on use today. Yes, Kuma the Wise also says overthinking led to many a man's downfall. He said also, Kevin, enjoying your Sly Cooper, the raccoon painting printout reminds me of a good time of my childhood.
Yeah, I told the I do video game reviews on another channel, and I told the video game kids in the comment section trolls, I said, when you become attractive to women, when you leave the comment section and you actually develop enough confidence to become attractive to women, they'll paint you pictures of Sly Cooper. My girl painted me that. Yeah, but I want to add one point to that. One of the most important things about being a man, or really what makes a man, in my opinion, is an ability to handle an immense amount of pressure. Yes. I really think that's what it comes down to. If you can do that, I forget which comment tipped this point for me. I'm a little all over the place. We performed till 4 a.m. last night, so it's a little last minute. I'm getting my shit together while we're doing this, but whatever comment got me on that track, if you can do what others are not willing to do, you got it. We've made a start.
That's right.
I think that's something I realized recently. If it's too damn hard for everyone, whatever it is you're trying to accomplish, film's a good example with me because it's the most difficult thing in the world to do with no money. And I've been out here doing it with no money for so long. I've seen so many guys walk away from small projects. It's too damn hard. It's too damn hard. We're not with it. And I was always the guy that's like, but if we stick with it, something could come out of it. And they were like, but it's pressuring. So if you're the guy that doesn't run from pressure, you've got such an advantage that you don't realize. Most people don't realize just the ability to handle the pressure, and most great things in life are incredibly pressuring.
Of course.
You've made a start, a head jump in front of everybody else, because most people, as soon as it feels difficult, they only want to do as much as is enjoyable. Right. As soon as it feels difficult, they run. If you're the one cat that doesn't, we've made a start, right? You have a little advantage over everybody.
It's often said that successful people do what unsuccessful people are unwilling to do. Truer words never spoken. Kuma the Wise says, you make your points nicely, Kevin. And to the point, he also says pressure makes diamonds. Let's switch gears here. Feminism. Go. Yes, sir. Feminism. You summed it up good on my show. It's female superiority, radical feminism. Okay. I like to refer back to Kevin Samuels, who really cracked me up when he called in a Fresh and Fit, and he explains to one of the ladies, he says, listen, ma'am, I'm a feminist. And the girls start hysterically laughing. But what he said was true. He believes in equality for women. That's right. That is what a feminist is. Radical feminism is female superiority. I feel like there's a level beyond radical feminism, which is just this new age, get attention and clicks madness, where there's just ridiculous things being said, just ridiculous arguments that people pull out of their asses. I think beyond feminism itself, just the modern social justice warrior mindset is really an excuse for a lot of low value people that don't have many accomplishments under their belts, maybe have a bit of an identity crisis, don't really know who they are. The one thing they do know is they could develop this interesting new age perspective, and it makes them stand out. To me, it's the new piercings and tattoos. Ooh. You know, you could get piercings and tattoos because you really dig piercings and tattoos, or you know, back in the day, that was the thing to do when you were having an identity crisis in high school. Like, well, what can make me stand out? I'll change my hair. That's, you see dudes start to act like women. Like, I'll change my hair because I don't know who I am. And it's like, all right, well, I mean, there's some building blocks of growth that need to be done there. I mean, changing your hair ain't going to do much. But so now I think that is almost expressed through verbal expression, where everybody really wants to be the person that has this very interesting and unique perspective, or more so the perspective that suits the narrative. Because what's interesting is they'll say red pill cats are radical, but we're not mad at radicalization because there's radical social justice warriors running the media. So we're okay with certain groups being very radicalized, just not one that goes against the mainstream narrative. And right now the mainstream narrative is let's get upset about everything. And it gets kind of, it can really be used. This is, and I don't want to get too conspiratorial here, but it can really be used to push all sorts of political narratives. I'll give you one example of feminism creeping into politics. Okay. Recently, they were talking about one of the vaccines causing blood clots.
And someone wrote an article trying to shine light on this. Like, you might want to be careful about this particular vaccine has been known to cause blood clots. And I saw the feminists jump on it, and all these girls I know shared this. You know what else causes blood clots? Birth control. So what is this really saying? It's saying America hates women. And now we've gotten off of a serious conversation about people who may not be eligible to get this vaccine without having adverse reactions. I'm not anti-vaccine. I'm just saying some people can't take a vaccine or can't take that specific vaccine that was causing ill effects. And so now we've hopped off of a conversation that has nothing to do with men and women, nothing to do with feminism, nothing to do with equal rights for women. But you see how these things can be used to sub-navigate a point or push us on to another topic.
It is amazing to me how feminists can take literally anything and turn it into misogyny. To me, that is a big time stretch. And I think that's really, and like I said, when I did the podcast with you, to me, feminism was necessary back in the day. It simply gave women a choice. Listen, most women were good with staying at home and being housewives, but there was a finite number of women, a finite percentage of women who actually wanted a choice. Look, newsflash, not every woman is cut out to be a stay-at-home mom. Most of them are, but not all of them are. So what first wave feminism gave women was a choice. Well, you got second, third, and now fourth wave feminism, and it has been bastardized to the point to where it is literally just female superiority. Anything you can do, I can do better. Women are superior to men, blah, 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 blah. And guys like us sit back and we scratch our heads. We're like, okay, you can say whatever you want, but the proof is in the pudding. STEM careers, athletics, etc., etc. All of that said, how do you think feminism is affecting the dating market? What, in your mind, what effects, positive or negative, does feminism have on today's dating market?
To be completely honest with you, I don't speak in broad terms because once I turn off the computer and the cell phone, I don't see a whole lot of this in real life. Okay. You see it all over social media, but you don't see a whole lot of it in real life. I think I was talking to Rolo about this. When you watch the media and you stay glued to your phone, the media really has you convinced that all these things that they're talking about are happening in every city, in every country, everywhere, 24/7. But if you pay attention, you're not seeing a whole lot of these issues come to life, at least as often as they're trying to make you think. So, the last time I was in a bar with, let's say, half capacity was white people, half of the capacity was black people, like 50-50 black and white. Then this gay dude walked in with a transgender as his date, right? He looked happy as shit. He was having a wonderful time, right? Nobody fought about anything. And now listen, I'm not saying that stupid shit doesn't go on. I'm not saying racism doesn't go on. I'm not saying, you're not going to see radical feminism in real life. You're not going to see transphobia in real life or any of those things. But I just don't see things popping off in real life the way they pop off on Twitter. But spend 4 hours on Twitter and you'll walk into the outside world with this mental vision of it being the war zone that Twitter is. And a lot of times it's just not, because you got to remember, nobody should be racist or transphobic or homophobic or any of those things. But in real life, it's a little more likely, or actually a lot more likely, that those people are closet phobes and racists, and they keep it, and they're not voicing it the same way they have the comfort to do when they're behind their computer and no one can punch them in the fucking mouth. So you don't see a lot of it. Yeah, you don't see, at least I haven't. And people jump on you for making comments like that. So you're saying it doesn't exist because you haven't seen it? No, I'm just saying that's been my experience. Thank Christ. Because any kind of feminist conversation comes up with a girl that I'm seeing, and I just shut it down. I'm just like, that's not quite what I'm here for. I'll put it as simply as that. Like, listen, if that's your wheelhouse, it's not mine. And I keep it as simple as this. I'm the guy that makes movies and raps and commentary. That's about, and I can fuck you and feed you and we can have a decent time. We're not getting into some feminism. No. It's just not. What do you expect me to lend to that conversation?
It's interesting. The reason why women expect men to lend to that conversation is because it's really kind of fear-based, right? um guys like us can't really speak our minds out in the open. Not that we're going to go out and try to, espouse the red pill. We always say this, man. You can't evangelize the red pill. Okay, the red pill only takes for people who seek it out. You can't pull someone aside. Hey man, are you having trouble with your girlfriend? Are you confused as to why women really ain't shit? Well, I've got something that's going to brighten your day. No, it doesn't happen. When a man gets his heart crushed, or if he's tired of jerking off and not getting laid, that eventually he does find this community. But what I'm getting from you is that when you found this community, you and I are the same in this regard. When I found this community, I did not go through an anger phase. Most men go through an anger phase because they're completely shocked. They believe what they're seeing, but they're like, dude, my mom lied to me. My dad lied to me. TV lied to me. Why is it, or correct me if I'm wrong, why is it that someone like you does not appear to have gone through an anger phase?
I've gotten angry at times, but not angry at women, just angry at human nature and the circumstances of life. It's like when you're down and depressed, you start asking God, like, oh, what's it all about? I've had that kind of frustration, which is normal for any human being, but not angry at women. I mean, I was angry at maybe some of the decisions that my past girlfriends made. Like, okay, I know I was beta as fuck, but you could have been a little fucking nicer about it. But aside from that, nah, I wasn't angry. I'm just a solutions guy, like I said. And maybe AMS videos was one of the first things I actually just digested and did exactly what he said. And the last time somebody paid me on Patreon to give them advice, I said, listen, make sure you don't pay a Patreon price or you don't spend money to receive advice that's just good listening material. Right. Make sure if you ask for advice, you apply it to see if it works for you.
Right.
I said, make sure you do that. And then the funny thing is I ended up getting to a point where, and AMS would tell you this himself, I got to a point where I was no longer keeping up to date with strategies. My days of strategies were with women were very, very short-lived. There was a short-lived period of like moving me from beta to alpha or blue pill to red pill where I strategized what I did with women. And that was really short-lived because once I got so busy with making films and music videos and shooting music videos and shooting film, and we've got this whole schedule. Yeah. Basically becoming busy and self-focused and business-minded did away with all of it. At that point, I didn't need to apply a single strategy. Girls just started competing for my time. So it literally took care of itself. And the funny thing is that's when women started saying things like, you're manipulative and you're leading me on because I thought this was going to be something more than it was. And I'm like, yo, listen, I treat you like gold. The only thing I am entirely, and I treat women like gold. The only thing I am entirely unwilling to do for them is get around my schedule. You know what I mean? Like my filming schedule is my filming schedule.
Right.
And I tell everybody, whether it's girlfriends or it's family, the work comes first.
That's right.
And that's the way I want to live. And when girls ask why I don't do a relationship, that's why I don't do a relationship, because if that's not going to work, which for most women it wouldn't. What do you mean? No matter what, work comes first. What about family? What about kids? What about us? What about save a hoe? How is that going to sound to your wife? What about the Captain Save a Hoe series? Like, sweetie, I'm playing this, I don't know if you know, but I do this show where at 25 years old, I'm with a fucking pistol and I'm saving hoes.
Right.
How is that going to sound to your wife? You know what I mean? Like, so I just want to be able to do what I want to do. And the fucked up thing is girls want to be able to do whatever they want to do without being told what they can and can't do, yet they seek relationships at the same time. So that's wanting the best of both worlds. That's wanting your cake and eat it too. And I think more women, my advice to young women who want to live young, wild, and free is take that hit. You're not girlfriend material. That's so right. Take that hit and enjoy living young, wild, and free like I am. I'll have 2-3 girl rotations. That works for me because I'm not ready for commitment, but I'm not the one who simultaneously wants a girlfriend when I'm not boyfriend material. I'm not, because I want to be fucking 2-3 girls at once.
Of course.
That's the first time I'm new to this. This is the first time I'm saying this shit live. This is fucked up, but we're in it now. We're in it now. Fuck it.
I was going to say what's happening. It's almost like when you're learning a new language and 6 or 7 months in, you regurgitate something that you haven't rehearsed and you're like, holy shit, I'm actually starting to get it. That's what sounds like happening with you. But I will say this is, and if there's any piece of advice, and it's very, very hard, it's very, very difficult for especially younger men to really to really put this into action. But girls are much more attracted to men who do not put them first. When you tell these bitches, hey, man, my music, listen, man, my music videos, Save a Hoe, my performances, that comes first. Women do not like it, Kevin, but guess what? They damn sure respect it. Women, and it's so funny, television, movies, commercials, they tell women, you got to find a guy who's going to put you on a pedestal, a guy who's going to put you first, a guy who's going to prioritize you, blah, 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 blah. Listen, that might be what women say they want, but it is not what they need. Because as we have seen, men who put women first are put last on the woman's list. The more you make a woman a priority, the less she makes you a priority by simple virtue of your availability. Girls will say, I want my guy to be around all the time and this and that and the other. Then they end up dumping that guy because he's just too available.
No.
Man who's about his shit. And if his shit is all about her, that's going to get old very quickly.
Yeah, let me say this. When we talk about saving women from themselves, here's the first way you're usually going to need to do it. She doesn't even know that she doesn't want to be attached to you by the hip 5 days a week.
That's right.
She thinks she wants to be with you all the time because women get very caught up in fascination. And that's what falling in love is. It's obsession and fascination. I'm not even sure what we perceive as love is healthy. I think what we perceive as deep love is really just deep obsession. You can love somebody without being obsessed with them in a ridiculous way where you start thinking, I want to be attached to a human being 5 days a week. You have to be the man and understand for her that you're not going to want to see me 5 days a week. Once we spend 5 days a week together, things are going to get boring, routine, and we're going to become uninterested in each other. I made a video, top 10 things that you should not do with your first girlfriend for young guys just starting out. Okay. That was on the list. 2 days a week tops, if you can even give that. But it's a great thing to have with your girl that you're seeing. I mean, whether it's a girlfriend or it's just a girl that you're sleeping with, we have our night. We got date night. Right. What the fuck is wrong with that? More than that, because you start to zone out when you're with your woman for extended periods of time. And then you're the asshole that's not listening when she's going on. And it's like, listen, I'm not listening, not for the sake of the fact that I'm a male chauvinist asshole, but because we've been together for 16 fucking hours. There's only so much to talk about. My limits of engagement are spent. My social battery is drained. Now we're just in the same room and I've zoned out. I'm starting to look at my phone and you just keep fucking talking. Now, I don't not want to listen to you per se, but if we had just set aside 1 day a week for this occasion, we would have looked forward to it, missed each other. The sex would have been better. The conversation would have been better. And we really would have enjoyed ourselves. But now we've watered it down to this plain routine of every day we're attached to each other by the hip. You don't want to do it. I'm telling you, it'll destroy anything you've got going with a woman.
Listen, women think, just like you said, women think they want to be around you all the time until, of course, they're around you all the time. And here's something else. I think what men and women fail to realize and understand is that there are many, many feelings stronger than love. Okay, stronger than what we call love. Infatuation, hell of a lot stronger than love. Lust is stronger than love. When girls experience the newness of a relationship, that honeymoon period, you're infatuated, there's lust, you're overlooking the idiosyncrasies, those are going to become annoyances. Well, what ends up happening is that after a while, you actually start to like the guy, things have settled down, things have cooled off. But then girls mischaracterize that, I think I've fallen out of love with him, things just aren't the same. Sweetheart, you're not going to be fucking 3 and 4 times a day all the time. Dude, when Dev and I, when we first got together, we were fucking 3-4 times a day. Took a trip to Hawaii. Dude, we took a 1 week trip to Hawaii. We counted, we fucked 31 times. It was insane. It was just
getting it done.
We don't fuck anywhere near that much now. Recently, we had a streak where we fucked like 10 days in a row. And I'll actually show you this. Hang on a second.
You about to get a sex toy?
Oh, no. I don't do sex toys. This is a map. I actually have to put this up. This is our smash map. Okay. Woo! This is a map of every state that we have ever had sex in. There's Hawaii, Arizona, Nevada.
Are you guys fucking taking notes? This is how you keep a relationship interesting.
This is how you do it, man. Dude, we fucked in, let's see. We fucked in Hawaii, Nevada, Arizona, Florida, Georgia, North Carolina, Pennsylvania, Michigan, New York. We did not fuck in Connecticut because I was too fucking tired. Right? I want to listen.
You don't want to fucking Connecticut.
I don't think so. Listen, I mean, if I can add that notch, but the point is, the point is just like you said, that's how you kind of not really spice things up, keep it interesting.
Little things like that for your girl are cute and exciting and sexy and fun if you're in a relationship. Now, if you're in a relationship that's fucking struggling, you're holding on for dear life, you might be thinking, I mean, look at that list he just had. You're probably saying, where do you and your girl fuck? My house, her house, my house, her house, my house, her house. Like, you know, what the fuck?
Yeah. Yeah. Well, again, that comes with time. But the point is men and women need to understand this. There are many feelings that are related to love that are not exactly love, that are stronger than love. And so when those feelings start to go away, men and women have to realize you're not getting bored. You're not falling out of love. It's just the newness is wearing down. The dopamine hits, the endorphins. That's a good thing. You're settling into a routine. This is why women swing from relationship to relationship, because they believe that every relationship should be one continuous dopamine, endorphin-filled, sex-fueled, honeymoon party from now until the end, and it doesn't work that way.
Right. No, it doesn't at all. That's a beautiful point, actually. So the way I look at it is, and I'm really starting to zero in on this, and the way I think about this, the older I get, I'm starting to think more about my family legacy, right. And I look at the way people normally do things versus how it should be done and versus how our grandparents did it. You know, my mother's parents is the only successful marriage I've ever seen. It's no surprise they came right out of the 40s and lived like it was the 40s until they died. That works. And what is it that worked? It's the idea that this is your life partner, not the baddest, sexiest, most intoxicating person ever. That's your life partner. What our grandparents were thinking was, can we work together? And when I listen to Kevin Samuels, this often comes to my mind. I start thinking about my grandparents, and I think this is something kind of Kevin Samuels-esque that he might agree with, because he talks strongly about marriage. But I think he's even explained to a few women this very same concept, that it's not about marrying the most intoxicating person. It's about, can we partner up and take care of business? That's why your lover is your partner. It's almost your business partner, and the business is maintaining a home and raising a family. Now, seeing as how most families are created by two people who were just intoxicated by each other, when the intoxication wears off, now you're left with nothing but a broken home. But two business partners that were not willing to abandon the business until business is done, meaning the kids are grown and the house is sold. Maybe now, if we don't want each other, we could divorce, but probably not. That's not the way they did it. My grandparents, the 40s, etc. That's the way it's done. So I was telling my mother the other day, and you'll like her answer to this. I was telling her the other day, I said, Ma, if I was going to get married, I know which girl from my rotation I would marry. It's the one, I told her, I said, I know it's the one that I am the least intoxicated with, which isn't a bad thing. She'd probably hate to hear that, but it's not a bad thing. I love the girl, but I am not intoxicated with her. And it makes me think of something De Niro said in Casino. He goes to Sharon Stone, all right, you don't love me, but what is love? It's a mutual respect. I really think that's what love is. It's a mutual respect. So the girl I'm talking about, I really respect, but I'm not intoxicated by her. But simultaneously, that girl and I work well together. You know, she takes care of business for me when I'm working 80 hours a week. She makes sure I'm fed, clothed, does my laundry, helps out in the house. In return, I always think of things for her, like, fuck, I'm going by her place. What does she need from the store? Like, we work together. It's not, you know what I mean? Now, if you were actually going to select a partner, that's the way our grandparents did it, and that's why they succeeded. No one's able to figure this out. People and young people ask the question all the time, why can we not do what our grandparents did? I just fucking answered it for you, because it was a partnership. It wasn't about falling in love. Now, what do you think my mother said? My mother said, yes, but you got to be deeply in love with them too. And again, it's amazing to me that this will always come from somebody with like 3 failed marriages. Yes, so my mother's on her like 3rd situation. You know, there was my dad, and then the bum after him, and now she's got a decent guy. You know what I mean? And no one will ever let their pride down enough to be like, clearly we don't know what the fuck we're talking about, because our love life, which has been on public display for the whole family to see how bad we fucked up, is evidence that I don't know what I'm talking about. No one's willing to admit that.
I'll say this, and I talk about this often, especially when I talk about relationships. Understand this, gentlemen, and you need to, because this lines up with exactly what you just said. Listen closely. The best relationship you will ever have with a woman can never, ever be with the woman you love the most. Let me repeat that. The best relationship you will ever have with a woman can never, ever, ever be with the woman you love the most.
100.
Now, people might say, well, what about Devin? Guess what? Devin falls maybe 4 or 5 on that list. The woman that I have loved the most in my entire life is a girl named Stephanie. You guys all know her as Amy. The woman I loved the second most was a girl named Tatiana. I knew her out in Las Vegas. The girl that I loved the third most was a girl named Jennifer. I actually met her out in Vegas too. I really, really liked her. Number 4, I guess, could be Devin. There's another girl named Christiana who might, I don't know, maybe 4 and 4A. Does this mean that I love Devin any less? No, of course not. But the fact that Devin is number 4 or 5 on the list of women that I have loved wholeheartedly, this is what allows me to do what I need to do to keep her in line. Because the state that I was in when I was with Stephanie, with that whole trailer park situation, there's no way that I could have laid down the edicts because I loved her. And listen, I can still freely admit that to this day, I have never, ever loved anyone or anything as much as I loved that girl. Not even close. Tatiana was a very close second. Jennifer was maybe a distant third. Devin is maybe 4 or 5 on the list, maybe tied or not tied with Christiana. The point is that the reason why I can walk away if I need to is not because I don't love Devin. It's because I'm not infatuated with her. I'm not intoxicated by her. I care for her very much. We have a long history, and I hope we last for a while. But if push comes to shove, I know that I will do what I need to do because I'm not that emotionally tied to her. I love her very much, and I care about our relationship, but not so much to where I wouldn't do what I need to do in terms of what's best for me and my mentality. What are your thoughts?
That's a great point. I feel the same way. I was pointing to you like this is that shit. That's a brilliant point.
Yeah, man.
I've got the girls in mind that I know were like real emotional trips for me.
Oh yeah.
And I think something people get confused about love is our parents and relatives tell us, you'll find the right one when you come across the one who does it for you in a way where you don't desire anyone else. Now, unfortunately, in most cases, you tell me how you feel about this. In most cases, in my experience, probably some of yours also, when you come across the girl that you're so intoxicated with, you stop thinking about other women, you stop wanting to sleep with other women, and she's all you need. Unfortunately, that's the one that's going to be your downfall because love warps your mind. Now, you think that this is what your heart is telling you, that everything's great. Your endorphins are just telling you that everything feels really good. And when you're with the girl that you're like drunk on, you cannot think for yourself. You can't be logical. You're emotionally driven purely. This is also, I guess, called one-itis.
Yeah.
So
exactly what it's called. Yeah.
You are much better off with the girl who does it for you, but the love is more like a mutual respect where you do love her. But I almost want to say it's like you love her like a relative. Like, this is my woman. If you're going to choose to be monogamous with a woman, this is my woman. I love her. She always holds it down for me. I always hold it down for her. Is much healthier. It's even healthier to be with that girl and fantasize about other women if you choose to be hardcore monogamous than it is to get with the girl that does it for you in every way. Because listen,
I can't live without her. I just don't. Oh my God, dude.
You tell me if you're the exception to the rule in the comment section, as people like to think that they are. But you tell me you're going to come across a woman that does it for you in every way possible, to the extent where you don't need another woman. You don't even think about other women. You stop watching porn. She's your porno. She's your fantasy. She's your romantic novel. And you're not out of your fucking mind. I mean, that's what's so great about love, is it's intoxicating. But what we're talking about when we say love is really unhealthy obsession. I think we got love twisted. That mutual respect that De Niro talks about in Casino, I think is the real love. And we think an obsessive sort of like romantic mental trip is what love is. But then girls love to point out, well, I had a situation like that and it turned toxic. No, that sort of obsession is toxic from the start.
It's already toxic. Absolutely. Dude, and again, this is one of the many frailties of the human condition, because it's funny. I think about the 3 girls, man, that really just took over everything. Stephanie, Tatiana, Jennifer. And it's interesting, like looking back now, like when I think back on those relationships, to be quite honest with you, I think about Jennifer now more than I even think about Stephanie. Now, it could be because Jennifer was much more recent than Stephanie. Stephanie happened way back in 08 and 09, but just using her as an example, like it was this whirlwind. Like, dude, we moved quickly. Oh my God. Like we spent the night at each other's house all the time. I was just, and this was after I found the red pill, man. Like this was just, and she was literally all I could think about post red pill. And when we went our separate ways, it sucked. Like it really, really sucked. But that's when I finally recognized, okay, been through it with Stephanie, been through it with Tatiana. Now I've been through it with Jennifer. It can't, and that's when I was starting to kind of figure out, okay, I can't be infatuated with a woman and have the requisite wherewithal and testicular fortitude to say what needs to be said and do what needs to be done. You cannot love a woman with all your heart and protect her. You just can't do it, man. It doesn't. Well, it can't happen.
I recommend to guys that if you do go down that path, do you think you have any young viewers?
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Okay. I want to make sure I'm not only saying this to guys, your age.
No. I've got all kinds of kinds of viewers. Oh, and don't worry about my camera. It's tripping. I got to tighten the wire, but go ahead. I'm smoking and watching and all that.
Yeah. I think good advice for young guys is if you think you want to be monogamous and you think you found that girl you want to be monogamous with, experiment down that road. If you'd like to, it might be nice for a while. Just always be willing to walk. Now, I have walks from girls that I was head over heels for. I trained myself to be this way.
Not easy, is it?
No, I trained myself to be this way. I trained myself to the extent that I will allow myself to get caught up in intoxication from time to time. Because at the end of the day, I could be as red pill as I want, but in my heart, I'm a storyteller. So there's always going to be a part of me that's a little bit of a romantic, and that's fine because I'll enjoy some romance from time to time. At times I've done committed relationships, but as soon as she fucks up or as soon as she does something that does not work for me in the respect of keeping my standards and keeping my sanity, as soon as I start to see that I'm veering off and becoming this love obsessed cat, things stop working for me. Then things stop working for us, for her and I, right? I'm always willing to walk, and I have walked from girls that I'm not going to front. I'm going to call me as blue pills as you want to, make fun of me. I cried my eyes out over chicks that I still don't, no matter how hard, it's emotional rehab. Let yourself detox. And I wanted to make this point. This is what's so great about AMS and why I love his content. AMS not only talks about female nature, but AMS talks about male nature. AMS talks about how to keep your emotions at bay as a man so you don't make mistakes. And that's something I think young men can really benefit from and really need to hear. And he'll talk about don't spend too much time with her. Limit her to 1 day a week because you don't know your own limits of becoming attached, obsessive, and falling off course, falling away from your purpose. So it's best to keep her there. I mean, enjoy the intoxicating chick.
Yes,
it's intoxicatingly sexy. I mean, it's fun, but
wonderful, dude.
Keep her at a safe distance. That's not the one to select for a partner because if you can't keep your head straight, you're fucked. I mean, love warps your brain. It does. It's a chemical rush. Love, as we know it, as our culture defines it, is they may define it as some fucking rom-com-esque shit, but what it is it's just intoxication.
It is a chemical cocktail reaction in the brain. Serotonin, dopamine, endorphins all at once. You want to know what else gives you that kind of rush? Heroin. And heroin is the hardest drug to beat for a reason. You become addicted to that feeling. And again, it's easy for us to say, hey, you have to keep her at bay. And you being able to do this, dude, at the tender age of 25, that's far beyond anything I've ever even thought.
I have to. I got to get these movies finished. I can't just be chasing girls.
You have a purpose at 25. I didn't have a purpose at 25. I was dating my soon to be wife and ex-wife Darcy. I didn't have a purpose. My purpose was her. But that's just it. The reason why you are able to do what needs to be done and keep your feelings at bay, keep things in check, is because you have a purpose. And this is what AMS preaches all the time. If you have a purpose, you are far less likely to become enraptured or intoxicated by these women, because they are out there. I'm trying to tell you, and girls know exactly how to get you hooked, man. It is,
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, especially the real manipulative ones. You're fucked if you don't know how to shift through that. What I call breakup is or the process of breaking up with someone you really loved or was really infatuated with. I call that emotional rehab. And my message to younger guys, if you know you're in a bad situation with a chick, you know you want to be free and you want to free up your time to start working on business or work on your purpose, you need to be ready to do some emotional rehab. And that's what most people can't do. I mean, when I had to walk away from that girl that I was most intoxicated with, the one that was most toxic for me, and the one that was the least beneficial for me, it was difficult. And my father is 5 years sober off heroin, funny enough. So my dad preaches, when you're in the program and you think you're going to go back out and use, you think you're going to slip up and do drugs again, you call someone else in the program, not for the purpose of them telling you don't go out and do drugs, but just to sidetrack you mentally. Mentally, you're talking to someone else who's dealt with the same struggles. Now you're talking about their family life. Now you're talking about their job. Now your mind is elsewhere, because a craving, say for a cigarette, say for dope, say for whatever, they say a craving only lasts between like 7 and 10 minutes or so. Don't quote me on that exactly.
Like that. Okay.
Don't quote me on that exactly, but usually if you could fight through a period of urge, I mean, how do you think cats stay sober for 10, 20 years? I mean, they become accustomed to this process. You think somebody that's clean off heroin for 5 years isn't dreaming about doing heroin, but they mentally, if they've successfully gotten clean off that substance, they mentally push through those periods of craving. Well, when I was actually thinking of, you know what, I'll just sleep with that girl just this one time, I'll just see her just this one time, she's calling, I'll just
never works that way, man.
I'll just spend one night with her. Instead of calling her, I actually called my dad like I was a drug addict in the program, or I would reach out to somebody like I'm in AA, and I would say, I'm thinking about using, I'm thinking about fucking up, because she's my drug at the moment, right? And listen, instead of being embarrassed to admit that I was hooked, see, this is the thing about owning your shit. The point you were making earlier about not pretending you haven't had failures. Yes. I can't sit up here and be like, I'm Hugh Hefner. I'm not like gonna boast and say, look at me, I'm alpha male. I'll tell you straight up. I was hooked on a chick just like everybody was at one point, but I just owned my shit, admitted to myself that I had done this to myself, but was willing to work through the procedure of detoxing from that high. It's a high like anything else. I had to train myself to be that way, because at the end of the day, my purpose was just more worth it. I don't know if there's a woman in this world that can counterbalance my purpose and be worth it.
Listen, and that's the right attitude to have. I'm going to go through these comments here because the audience is loving you. I
hope so. They're not mad that I'm white.
No, they're not. You don't have to.
I appreciate that, guys. I do have a little Puerto Rican in me, but I do not say the N-word.
But yeah, when it comes to stuff like this, and I remember if we rewind a little bit, you said, I'm not going to lie, like I cried. I cried about this girl. Look. Being red pill, living the red pill life does not mean that you don't experience emotion, right? If you are an emotionless person, if you're like a dark triad person, there's nothing impressive about breaking up with a girl that you really like. There's nothing impressive about that. And I conflate that with this. Anybody can be Captain fucking Red Pill when they're fucking 2 and 3 bitches at the same time. Mm-hmm. Not to marginalize that, but this is exactly why we tell guys, listen, you have to be seeing 2 to 3 girls at the same time so that you don't get obsessed with one, right? Because, and this is my rule, make sure that no one woman ever has more than 50% of your love life, right? If you're seeing one woman, she has 100%. If you're seeing 2 girls, each girl has 50%. If you're seeing 3 girls, each girl has 33%. If you're seeing 4 girls, each girl has 25%, 5 girls, 20%, 6 girls, 16.6, and so on and so forth. You're much less likely to fall for one if you have more. But here's where the rubber meets the road. This is why we preach this stuff. Definitely have girls in a rotation, but at some point you grow up, you grow up and you have different you have different motivations in life. Show me, any man can have the abundance mindset when they're fucking a bunch of girls and act as such. It takes balls of fucking iron steel. I don't even know if that's real. Titanium fucking balls to be able to do that within the confines of a long-term cohabitating relationship. I'm not trying to pat myself on the back, but what I'm trying to tell guys is that I have to act, or not really act. I act as though I'm still single, in that I talk to my woman like I have other options. I'm not disrespecting her. I'm like, look, you can either cut the shit or you can fucking kick rocks. It's very easy to do that when you're fucking 2 and 3 girls at the same time. Not so easy when you're living with your girlfriend whom you happen to care and love very much. That being said, if Devin and I were to break up, I'm not going to sit here and say that I wouldn't care about it. No. Of course I would. I'd be bummed for a few days, but the train stays on the tracks. To me, that is the true measure of a man, is to do what needs to be done despite the emotional risk involved. Again, anybody can be Captain Red Pill if they're fucking 5 different chicks. Show me that same resolve when you're only dealing with one and you live with her. That's where next level game is all about for me.
Yeah, I agree with that. I tell girls all the time, if I'm dealing with a woman who starts demanding certain things that I don't exactly offer, I start pointing her in the direction of another man. I say, well, you might want to go somewhere else. I mean, and it's actually not a manipulative ultimatum. It's not to stir up her emotions. It's just to be factual. I mean, you got with the short, muscular cat that makes movies. So you know what I have to offer. You know I'm exciting. You know you can come fuck with me and wind up on a movie set one night, at a show with 1,000 people the next night, or we could just be kicking it at the house. More than that, I'm not really good for. Now, if you want fucking vacations in Rome or some shit, go get the cat that's going to do that for you.
Right.
You know, or if you want the guy that has more than 2-3 days a week available for you. I tell girls all the time, there are plenty of guys. When I get that complaint, I say there are plenty of guys out here playing Xbox and smoking blunts all day. They would love to have
the world for you.
They have all the time in the world for you. And it's not an ultimatum to stir up their feeling. It's just something people need to get in check, both men and women. Choose wisely. This was number 2 on my list of what not to do in your first relationship for young guys. Choose wisely. In the beginning, if you're going to choose a partner, because it makes a world of a difference, you're not going to go through this routine of, everybody fails at this same routine of choosing someone that's exciting and then trying to mold them into the person that they want. It doesn't work that way. Whatever behavior a person displays when you first start dealing with them, if you enter a relationship with them, you've confirmed to them through the act of hopping in a relationship with them that behavior works for you. Right. And then to turn around and tell them to change their habits or change how they live their life is too much of a shock to them, and nobody does it. I mean, I've been trying to argue the same points with my parents for 20 years. I've been trying to argue the same points with relatives, family members, coworkers forever. You think you got a shot with your partner, the person that you fuck? You have a shot with the person that you sleep with of changing who they are. And I don't know if women want to do this more than men, or if men want to do this more than women. I know betas want to do it the same amount of the time that women want to do it with their men, because a lot of times a guy will find a beta guy, or a guy that is not aware, will find a really exciting chick. This is almost the Captain Save-A-Ho thing. We'll find a really exciting chick and then think, yeah, but she's a little bit of a hoe and a little bit of a party animal, and the only thing she does for fun is drink and smoke. You know, that sucks too, that most people think that that's all fun is. If you don't let me drink and smoke, you can't let me. No, like, there's other things to do for fun, but to you, that's all fun is. And they want to strip that away. They want to change that to mold the partner they want. You should have went out and found the girl that's fucking in the library more than she's in the bar. But you wanted the exciting chick that's throwing it back in the club. So here we are. And same thing for women. You wanted the exciting, mysterious, bad motherfucker. Well, don't be surprised when some mysterious ass shit happens.
There you go. Like, you know, your friends. Like, that's how. Listen,
mysterious as fuck.
Listen, this is how it goes, man. If you want to get strong, if you want to lose weight, if you want to optimize body composition, hit the fucking gym. That's the price. If you want the exciting girl, be ready for exciting girl problems. If you want the exciting guy, be ready for exciting guy problems. Nothing ever comes for free. The body, riches, finances, excitement, great sex, none of that is free. There is absolutely always a cost. Let me go through some of these. Super chats, and then we'll end things by talking about your Save-A-Ho. Okay. Cool. Kuma the Wise says Kevin is spitting facts. The school bus says, I'm going to have to rewatch this stream just to catch all the facts. Good grief.
Thank you, fellas.
Logic says, Kevin went full fax machine. Ice Dragon Kid says, that's a lot of mental fortitude, bro. Good stuff. Absolutely. Yeah, that was like the way you explained calling your father as though you are a drug addict. Like that, to me, that's next level. That's the kind of self-awareness that most men, regardless of age, possess.
I had a guy reach out to me on Patreon and ask for advice on how to deal with a breakup. This is what I told him: emotional rehab. Take that time. And I said, real quick, I know you want to read this. I told this young man, I said, also, if you were in rehab, they would not allow you to keep a cell phone where you could possibly contact your drug dealer. So if you're separated from a girl, he said he was separated from his wife and it looked like they were going to get divorced. I said, well, at the moment that you're separated, break contact, because all she's going to do is reconfirm to you how you ruined this relationship. And that's not helping you when you're basically healing, going through emotional rehab. You're withdrawing from the toxicity of that situation. So you need to give yourself that time to do that. Some people do rehab in Florida. If they live in New York, they go out to Florida and they do rehab. Sometimes people move after a breakup and it seems dramatic, but hey, maybe you can't clear your head in the space. You can't clear your head in the space where the shit went down. And that's understandable. Do what you need to do. Own your shit. All right. It's embarrassing. You made a beta move, but you want to stick with it or you want to improve.
Listen, this is exactly what I did after the worst breakup of my life. I kind of got kicked out of the state. I was in Georgia, but I knew that I had to get off of the East Coast. That's when I moved to Las Vegas, Nevada.
Wait, where were you at on the East Coast initially?
I've been everywhere, but I was living in a rural town in North Carolina, going to a community college. That's where I met that girl. The whole situation happened. And I ended up moving to Atlanta where my mother and brother were living, stayed there for 6 months. Then I moved to Vegas and then everything changed. So that was the best move I've ever made. Kuma the Wise says, my mother was very manipulative, finally disowned and removed her from my life for the most part. Only have to deal with her when I pick up my baby brother. Have to make sure he's mentally and emotionally okay. God damn. Good Lord. Okay. So let's, so as we round third and head for home here, talk to me about the genesis of the Save a Ho project. What was the thing that made you say, you know what? I want to make Save a Ho. How did that happen? How did that come to be?
Well, I touched on it a little bit in the beginning. I just finished a giant feature film, which is to make a legit independent feature film. That's a 90-minute feature film that has everything that a feature film should have. Took 4 years and all of my money. I mean, it was all of my money from my shitty 9-to-5 day jobs. And that's why it took 4 years, because that's the only way it was affordable. I couldn't do it in one shot and shoot for 2 months. So I was so spent from that I wanted to do something that could be purposely cheap, like a Dolomite tribute, like a Black Dynamite tribute. And I was watching those movies for inspiration to get me through the period where I was working on my feature film that I did with Positive K. And I figured, you know what? Fuck it. This is where I can finally use this idea that I've had since high school. The first time someone called me Captain Sabo in high school, because my name is Sabo, my last name is Sabo.
Right.
The first thing I thought, I didn't know anything about male and female nature. I didn't know shit. I was a kid. So the first thing it made me picture was a simp action hero. Like, he saves hoes. And I always wanted to use that concept. So when I found this 60s, 70s Japanese funk music that they used to use in the black exploitation flicks of the 70s. I just started playing it and walking Rocky through the idea. I'm like, what if he's a masculine simp? He is the theatrical representation of what a Captain Sabo is, of what a simp is, and we acted out literally. Now the funny thing is, I did not intend it to be for the red pill audience. I just thought it would be, or I did not intend for it to be peppered with red pill terminology or red pill themes.
You can't help it now because
but the shoe fits.
Connotations.
Well, yeah, but the shoe fits.
Yes,
that's what I thought. Now, granted, at the same time, I know it's rubbed the audience the wrong way in certain respects. Like, I know certain guys saw Rollo Tomasi in it, and they were just like, "Listen, I'm not here to see Rollo Tomasi act. I'm here to listen to him talk about intersexual dynamics." And I get that, but it wasn't for his audience and your audience per se. Hopefully there's pieces of your audiences that will get a kick out of it. But I just consumed a lot of this form of media, and I've watched you guys for so long, and I knew that you guys were natural born entertainers. Like I could just tell. I know you're not actors, but you're entertaining in the way you present the information. You've been an on-camera personality for how many years? So I know you can handle it. And I just think it's a goof to mesh worlds like that. I mean, when I don't know if there's any cats in the chat that are old enough to remember Positive K, the song "I Got a Man" from the '90s, where he's going back and forth with the chick.
With me, I'm not trying to hit it.
Yeah, what's your man got to do with me? Well, Positive K never acted until he worked with me. I was the first acting coach that Positive K ever had. So I knew that just from being in music and doing records and being in music videos, he knew enough about production and he had been on camera enough that he was 50% of the way there and I could bring him the other 50%. And sure enough, that's what we did. When it came down to dialogue, I also rapped. So I knew how to explain to a rapper that never acted, like, look, I knew how to explain, look, it's just like when you punch something in the studio, but we're going to kind of like visually punch it. You know, I knew how to, turn studio terminology into set terminology. Okay. And I knew that I could do the same thing with guys like you and Rollo Tomasi because you have enough on-camera experience. I consider that 50% of the way there, and I could bring it the other 50%. And what I also thought was, if Captain Save-A-Ho is a masculine simp beta male warrior, then the villains would have to be Red Pill, because the villains in any great movie or any superhero movie are always the voice of reason.
Absolutely.
It's always the mental trip for the audience to find out that like the Green Goblin or the Joker is actually spitting facts. Right. Because you want to root for Spider-Man and you want to root for Batman, but when the Joker starts explaining that the world is chaos and society is fucked, you start thinking like, he's got some points. So in that same respect, in this sort of cinematic world here, if I'm the simp warrior, I wanted Rollo Tomasi to play a character who is the first to break down to my character why the way he lives and conducts his business is foolish. Like, point out to him the flaws in his perspective. It had to be a Red Pill cat. So I reached out to Rollo Tomasi, and thankfully he was down with it. And I'm so appreciative of the fact that he dug in enough to invest in the second episode and put us on a little bit. I know some of the Red Pill audience is a little confused. They're like, we're not here to see a movie. We're here to shit on bitches. And I get all that. It's just that I wanted this to be just this little fun little happening in the Red Pill community where even if this fucking thing goes nowhere, 5 years from now, everybody could look back and be like, hey, remember that time we all fucking acted? Like we all did this series. You can still find it. This wacky fucking white kid was talking about saving hoes and he got us all involved. Like, it's there.
Very good, man. The Neologic says, man, we are getting all the sauce today down to how a filmmaker thinks. Yeah, man.
Hey, thank you, brother. Yo, make sure you follow me, Savo Central on YouTube. I don't know if there's a direct link, but you guys got to come over there. I got some great interviews with Donovan. Donovan and I got together in person, so a lot of those are on my channel.
Yeah, you guys can find all of those on his channel. I'm actually posting them on my channel as well. Make sure you subscribe to Kevin, guys. Devin has put the link in the chat. Tell the people where they can find you. Maybe Instagram, YouTube, etc., etc.
Yeah, I wish I could put it up there, guys, but it's Savo Music. Savo Music CT on Instagram. Savo Central on YouTube is where you'll find my Red Pill intersexual dynamics videos. There's also video game reviews and movie reviews on there. Trailers for my movies.
Central on IG. Let me pull this up here. So Savo Music. Oh, here we are. Very good. Followed by the Rational Male himself. So that's where you can find him on Instagram. Savo Music CT for Connecticut. Let me blow that up for you guys. Savo Music CT. There you guys can find all kinds of content. That's obviously I guess that's from a show. Oh, that's your boy from the video. That's your boy.
Oh yeah. We did Thought Mommies live for the first time last night, so it was pretty good.
Oh no shit, man. There of course is your boy right there, dropping the knowledge. Yo, who is this chick? Who is this?
So this is Tori Grow, and Tori Grow is an aspiring female Red Pill podcaster. And she sought out Rollo Tomasi, and Rollo Tomasi brought her on Fresh and Fit. And I should have known this from the jump, but she was the only chick on the panel of the Fresh and Fit show that actually had some real answers about female nature. Yeah. Where she did, all the girls got upset with the questions that Myron asked, and she was the one girl that acknowledged female nature and gave an honest answer. So I reached out to her. I just said, hey, you do good shit. Maybe we should talk sometime. And we ended up doing a little podcast because I just dug that. I had sat through enough fresh and fit shows to see that most of the girls take Myron the wrong way and just get upset and defensive. And that was the first female guest I had ever seen. And I showed the example on my channel. If you want to go check that out, it's red pill female praises the manosphere. And I show the clip from Fresh and Fit. Fresh asks the question. He says, would you want the guy that's business oriented and he'll provide a good home for you, but he's boring, or the exciting guy, but he'll cheat? Every girl said they wouldn't prefer the cheater. Tori was the only one that said, listen, I know I would say I wouldn't want to be cheated on, but I'm aware that my nature might suggest otherwise. And I was like, okay, now I'm interested, because I honestly, I mean, you tell me if you've seen an episode that I haven't. I've yet to hear any chick conduct themselves in an intelligent manner on Fresh and Fit. So I had to reach out to her. They're just, it seems like just like party chicks from the club that kind of attempt to podcast with Myron and them, and they don't perform that well on that platform. Yeah, and they're not honest. They're not honest. Tori's honest, and she's hot, and it was interesting.
Yeah, Tori's hot, dude. Because I saw her on your Instagram. I was like, who in the hell is this chick? I was like, wow. Okay, so guys, listen, man. You know where to find him. Find him on YouTube. I'm gonna link all of his stuff in the description.
Yeah, YouTube is Sabo Central, and then The Adventures of Sabo is a channel. Just type in The Adventures of Sabo. Go and run up the subscriptions on that if you can. If everybody in the chat could do that, you'd be setting us up nicely for episode 3, which is gonna feature your man here, Donovan Sharpe, who did a really, really good job. I got to spend a little more time with him than Rollo Tomasi, and we got to do a couple of scenes, and he's good in it, man. It's a Lethal Weapon-esque kind of thing.
Yes.
And I think we pulled it off pretty good, man. It's not cheap, it's not corny. It's just it's fun.
I like how it turned out.
It's fun.
Says I shared thought mommies to pretty much everyone I know that would dig it. Very
good.
I
appreciate that, man. Yeah, single dads that are dealing with that shit. They dig it.
Christ. The school bus says, wacky white kids are my people, man. Can't wait to get into more of your content.
Go subscribe to my channel. It's Wacky White Boy Central, bro. It's all we is Wacky White Boys over here.
Well, listen, Kevin, thank you very much for making time for us today. We definitely have to do another one of these. I think this is a pretty good time slot. I think that you and I can probably do a weekly show. I like bringing people on who know what they're talking about on a weekly basis. I do a show with EO every week. I certainly would not be opposed to doing a show with you every week, because you're good. You fill up the air just like I do. We're both very mic dominant, so there's never ever going to be any dead air. Okay, it's your turn or my turn or whatever. We have very good on screen.
Hey, yeah, and by chance, we're not far from each other. You got a second mic in that studio, so I could come down and we could get together in person and do a show?
Yeah, well, I've actually got 4 mics. I've got 4 mics here. I'm actually thinking about, because I closed down Studio B, but the guy that I rented the studio from actually has a location that's close here. So before we leave, man, I might do like a 1 or 2 month lease and fly a few people in.
Well, you got a little bit of time before you dip out.
Yeah. I'm not. We've actually moved it to the first of the year, so we're good to go.
Okay, yeah, beautiful. Yeah, let's get some stuff done then. I'm not that far from you. I'd love to do some in studio stuff. The novelty of actually getting together is because StreamYard and all this was sort of born out of quarantine and born out of COVID, like necessity that we can't be around each other, and now we can. So well, it's good to get together.
Totally agree, man. He is Kevin Savo, guys. He is Kevin.
Thank you, brother.
We're going to put all of his links in the description. Kevin, again, man, thank you very much for making time, and we'll talk soon, brother.
Thank you so much, brother.
All right, take care, guys.